Here he is, bright and early on a Saturday morning, sniffing away. What are you doing, Danny? What are you doing, Danny? What are you doing, Danny? Morning, everyone. Welcome back to Pirate Solutions Forestry. My name's Bill, and hopefully you saw Danny in the intro. It's a beautiful little Saturday morning, nice and cool before 4th of July, and I want to finish up this trailer deck this morning so I can go to lunch at 11:30 and see some friends. I've got a kind of a funky little small log up here on the mill. I'm going to show you how to lay out the end of it so I can get what I want. What I need out of this log is I need 7.5 inch thick by 6 1/16 wide planks. And based on what I'm seeing on the end of this log on the small end here, I've got it oriented correctly, I believe, to get this. I think we can do it. I'm going to take you through how I map that out because there seems to be some confusion about doing it. Now, the way that I map it out is kind of no different than if you're using SetWorks, just your SetWorks, your computer would do it for you. However, this one's got some challenges, and we'll go over that. I'll show you each one of them, and hopefully I clarify this because obviously based on comments and messages that I get, I'm not super clear on it, although I think I'm really clear on it. So let's get into it. So it's going to rain today, so I want to get this done early. And I always try when I do get orders to knock them out as fast as I possibly can to get them off my plate so I can take more orders. What we're going to do on the end of this log is we're going to lay out a 6-inch wide or 6 1/16 wide cant out of the middle of the log. And then it looks like in this orientation, because it's kind of an oval now, it's huge down on that end. And there's a reason the small end's this way. I'll show it to you. But we got plenty down there. We need this to be a 6 1/16 block like this, as high and as low as we can get it. Now let's lay out our 6 first. Obviously, I've already done some of this myself, just some of these mushrooms off here. So basically right here, we're going to call it 13 wide. So I'm going to make a mark at 6.5. And then I'm going to go 3 over and just a hair and make a mark there. And I'll come 3 over this way and just a hair, make a mark there. I'm doing this with pencil, so if you have a hard time seeing the pencil, I apologize, but you'll get the gist of why and how I'm doing it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to plumb a line on this side. This is going to be the dimension that we use when we set our width. There might be a little bit of an extra turn here because I have to do it in this orientation for a reason. We're going to plumb a line on the other side. These are just basic guidelines. Obviously, the tail of the tape is going to be on my saw head while I'm cutting. Now the magic part. Okay, the magic part is that I need a height to get 7 boards of 7 inches plus 3.5 inches of the halves in those 7 inches, because I need them to be 1.5 inch boards. So that's 10.5. And in 7 boards, there are 6 cuts. So 6/8 is 3/4. So we have 10.5 plus 3/4 is 11.25. So we need our height to be 11.25. So we're going to go ahead and measure the height of the log. It's 15 and a half. So that is, just make sure I get it right. It's really 15 and a quarter. So that's 7 and a half and an eighth, which is kind of right here. And then we need 11 and a quarter. So we're going to come up 5 and a half is 11, and we're just going to throw in a little eighth there. And then we can simply just go ahead and measure down 11 and a quarter from there. That gives me a mark here for my top and bottom cuts. And if you want, you can go ahead and draw a level line on there. And then a level line on the bottom down here. Sorry if I sound a little monotone. It's early in the morning. I'm still on my first cup of coffee. Okay, so now this block represents all 7 of my boards. Top cut on this side, bottom cut. Now the bottom cut, there's a little bit of fudge space in because as my lines intersect over here, I see that this line could move down and still accomplish the 6 and a 16th wide. These lines kind of are the same, but yeah, it looks like it's going to end up being okay. So it looks like we're going to have no problem getting this block out of here. Just to let you know, that does include the pith in this log. I realize that I am going to cut another log and give them some extra boards. Just for reasons like this, because this is just going to be sawn all the way down through, and that will include the pith. All right, and there's a chance that the pith will crack. That's why I give my customers 2 or 3 extra boards most of the time for their projects. So that's how we laid it out. Had to lay it out on the small end down here because this is a short log and it doesn't bridge across my hydraulic setup because my bunks are 8 feet apart. This one's only 7 and change. And if I want to level this end, which on my first cut here, I don't have to, it's sitting, I oriented it with a flat side down. It's sitting really, really flat right now, even though there's a big swell on the other end. Compared to the other side of the log, this is sitting flat. There's no reason to take my flat side out of flat to accommodate one side that is swelled up at the end. But the reason that it's down here is that I do have a toe board here, so I could level this small end if I needed to. I could not do it the other way around. So that's why the small end's down here, and I'll take most of my measurements off of here. But in all reality, once we get this cut done and this cut done, we won't need to use this as a reference anymore because then we'll be working off of actual numbers. So let's get to work. Also, I do want to point out that based on my little grid there, I am going to get a board out of this side and out of this side. So that could equal my extra boards too. I'm going to actually just see if I can get a little bark off this log. There's a couple of dirty spots in it. Sometimes it gives up the ghost pretty easy. Sometimes it doesn't. If it does, I like to do it just to get rid of some of the dirt in this cut. And that looks good enough. So I think we'll get to cutting. All right, so as I look here, this end is sitting pretty flat on the bunk, so I can take my measurement off of here for this one, this cut, and try to be maybe a shade conservative with it. This cut looks like it's going to be at 13 1/4. So that's where we're going to take it, and then we'll spin it over and we will take it in from the side. That did cut out about a 1/4 inch low, which means it probably is tapering up on the bottom, but we have a good face on the top. It's beautiful wood. Way more than 6 inches. We're good to go. I don't see a problem right now in hitting our numbers. Those are all junky outside wood. So what we're going to do is get this thing turned, and there's a possibility we'll have to level the other side, but we will see when we get there. But at least now that I'm oriented like this, I can do that. And just so you guys know, I am using a manual stop over here. So sometimes I am going to have to pull that up and put it down. We'll see how it goes. It's pretty off center. So as far as turning it goes, it might want to turn funny. I might have to do it with a PV. So that rolled over pretty easy there. We are going to have to give kind of a guess on this cut. This cut's not as critical. And let's see here where we are. We'll take this to the top. We'll come down off the top dimension. So the top is like 15.5. So that's about 12 inches up right there. We were going to go, we're going to make a mark at 12. We'll come up 1.5 inches plus 1/8. We'll make another mark and see if we can steal a flitch, which I'm sure we can. So let's make our mark at 12. And then we're going to come up to 13 5/8. That's our 1.5 inches. That looks like all there is there. I'm going to take it right there. That worked out perfect. That face is way wider than 6 inches. So we are going to get a board out of the side, which means this log is going to do everything that we need in this order. We're going to come back and we're going to drop down to 12 inches and cut it to our width, set our first width. This board will get edged off after. Just going to throw it off this side of the mill. And now our job is to turn this thing sideways, put that toe board down for sure, and then we're going to cut it to that 11 1/4 that we need. You just take a look at my scale and make sure that that's right. Yeah, it looks right. So we do know that doesn't necessarily, because we have our scale set on 6/4. We're just going to take this to a scale cut at 6/4. So wherever that is, it's going to be right around 11.5, if my math was right. I mean 11 1/4, if my math was right. I'm setting my height to get on scale to cut this out into inch and 6/4 boards. 7 of them is what we want. Now we're going to come down to that 11 1/4, and that is right on 6/4 scale, just like the math said, and we're going to make a cut. This worked out great. We're going to have no problem pulling this off. That is all firewood. We're going to spin it up, probably take a flitch off, cut it to our 6 1/16 width, then spin it back up and mill it out. And make sure my stops are below 6. So I'm putting this one at 4, because I am going to have to roll this again, and just make sure that my hydraulic stops are lower than that, or equal. 6 1/16, which is the width of our boards. That's pretty low, so I'm going to come up to, let's see, 7 1/16, 7 5/8 plus an 8. And then I'm going to come up, so that's 7 3/4. We're going to come up to 8 3/4, 9 1/4 plus an 8. We're going to try and take our top cut there, which means we're actually going to get 2 flitches out of this. We're at 9 3/8. Just remember that. We're going to come down to 8 3/8. 7 7/8 is another half, and then an 8 is 7 3/4, which is where we were. It's starting to rain a little bit. There's another board. And now we're going to flip it up and just mill it out on scale. So we know that the top of our scale is at 11 1/4. This should be the top of our log, right? Can't right now. And it's exactly perfect. We're going to drop down. Take one. Go up above 11 1/4 on my way back. This one is at 6 3/8. We're just going to make sure that we're clear of our stops. Yeah, pretty simple one this morning, and we're going to get these boards off. Just going to set them over here to pick them up with the Bobcat later. At least we didn't hit any metal. I am going to have to mill one board. There's a punky section in the middle of this that we did not anticipate. Yep, there is a punky section. Hopefully that's around the pith. Yeah, it's the pith. So we have to drop our stops all the way down. It looks like that's going to affect at least 2 boards. I'm going to get 3 extras, which is probably going to finish me out. I might even get 2 out of that one over there. Let me go see how big that one is. If that's over 12, I can't remember. It's probably 11 3/4. Of course. I mean, 11 1/4. Yep. So it's not going to give me 2. So we got to get our stops dropped down. I am going to wait to edge those off because I am going to have to mill one more log, but it's going to rain on me here. So let's take the rest of this one out, and I got to get some things covered up here. My mill has never seen rain. All right, let's see how many good boards we get. We know we're going to get 7. We're going to see how many good ones we're going to get. So that does kind of stink a little bit. Let's see. This one's junk. This one's marginal. I would say it's junk. This one's pretty good. And the bottom one's beautiful. So we ended up with 3 boards that are not very good because of this spot. We'll get more than 3 out of that. I've actually got 3 sitting on the ground over here. So the edgings will get me to my number, but I'm still going to mill one more. This one's not going to yield a whole lot as far as how many boards goes, but if I can give them 2 or 3 extras, it's a really good customer. I want to make sure that they have really good sound planks for what they're doing, not junk ones like this one. Unforeseen too, right dead in the middle of the log, right around the pith. This board is garbage. So that's it for this morning. Hopefully that ends up being a pretty decent little layout video, how to map your way to figure out where your top cut's going to be and your side cuts are going to be to get what you want. There's a big difference between what I do in most places. Most places are non-stop all day milling logs. And when they cut them open, they kind of see what they're going to be, whether it's going to be a cross tie or whether it's going to be 1x10s or whether it's going to be 1x12s. Whatever they sell the most at their place, and they cut through the log and roll another one on and do the same thing. What I'm doing is I am picking logs for a customer order and trying to get exactly what I want in that customer order. Picking logs that fit the job, and then I have to try to mill them into what I want to get out of them. So and without making a pile of waste. So it's a little bit different for me. So what it translates into is it's a lot like a beginner. When you're a beginner and you first throw that log up there, you don't know where to start. You don't know what you're looking for. You don't know how it's going to turn out. Most likely when you mill your first log, you're just blasting it into a big ass cant and you're going, oh my God, look at how these planks are beautiful. And I'm just going to make them as wide as I can and try to come up with a specific use. You know, when you throw your first log up there, it's nice if you just want to be checking the mill out, you know, and how it's going to mill, that's fine. And, you know, if you want to learn your way through it, but come up with a cut list, challenge yourself with a cut list so that you can learn your way to mapping yourself through the log to get what you're looking for. And that's all I'm trying to get across on some of these videos. We're not grade sawing these logs. You know, if you watch Robert Milton at Hobby Hardwoods, Alabama, is a wealth of knowledge as far as how to saw a log to get perfect boards out of it. These boards are trailer decking. They don't need to be perfect, but they have to be sound. So our keys here are keeping the long grain in the boards, making sure that they don't have any pith problems as far as cracking and stuff like that, which is why I just usually mill a couple of extras. And that they're going to work for this trailer deck, that they're going to drive bulldozers and excavators and pavers and rollers and stuff like that on top of. It's nothing like grade sawing like Robert Milton does. Robert Milton is an artist when it comes to sawing grade boards for his business to sell to customers he's getting the best value out of the log, and he doesn't mess around with the junk. We don't mess around with the junk, but we're trying to get the most yield out of our log to get the boards that we want for the specific job. If these were going to be flooring for a customer, you'd have to go about this totally differently, but that's not the case here. So I'm going to at least get kind of cleaned up, get the mill kind of put away, just because it's getting pretty dark over here. It wasn't supposed to rain this morning. It's supposed to rain about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And the one comfort that I'm going to take is from what I've already done. If I don't get to mill again today, the one comfort that I'm going to take is that if I edge off those 3 boards, I know I have enough right now for them to cover their trailer. But I feel more comfortable if I got myself 3 or 4 more boards out of that other log to throw in with this order. I'm still going to charge them the board footage, but if I throw those 3 or 4 more 7-footers in there, I know that if they have any problem with any of those boards, then there's a replacement sitting there waiting and they can still cover their trailer. That's what's important to me, because this job is a $500 job that without videoing would take me about 45 minutes to cut. You know, we want to make sure we've got plenty of leeway in this job to make sure that we give them perfectly sound black oak boards for them to cover this trailer up, and that they're going to last a long time. So that's what's going on. Danny is wandering around. Make sure you guys hit that little notification bell down in the bottom so it notifies you when I put a video up. Also, if you have any questions, please put them in. I answer everything back right now. If you have any suggestions, any wants, any needs, anything like that, please put them in there, and I will do my best to address them. I am chasing one person's questions. I'm getting some questions through Messenger. I'm getting some questions through email. I'm getting some questions on the videos that are specific to what I'm doing and for clarification on why I do certain things. So that's what I'm trying to do right now, is answer those questions. Seem like it'd be a good little video series. All that slab wood goes right into my firewood pile and gets cut up and goes right in my bin for this winter. These logs are old. Those outside cuts in my firewood bin will dry perfectly fine. I split everything up really small, and we're well on our way here. So hopefully this week we're going to be sawing some stuff for us. We're going to be going through my older pile of pine, because I want to get my new pile of pine out back. But we're going to be going through my older pile of pine and cutting a bunch of construction lumber, 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s, 4x4s, maybe some 6x6s, whatever makes sense out of the specific logs and trying to save some of them before they go too far gone, just because we have a couple of things to build. So that's what's going on. I always appreciate the watch. Thank you very much. And for now, for Danny and myself, this Pirate Solutions out.